Hey there, sleepyheads. Welcome back to the channel. Before we drift into tonight's tale of the hidden lore of dreams and adventure time, I'd love to know, where in the world are you watching from tonight? And what time is it for you right now? Drop it in the comments below. It's always magical seeing how far and wide this sleepy little community reaches. All right, lights low, blankets up, let's begin. When we think about adventure time, most of us picture the vibrant meadows of the Candy Kingdom, glowing in pink and gold, or the icy spires of the Ice Kingdom. But tonight, we are stepping away from the bright surface and sinking quietly into another layer of this world. A softer layer, a hidden one, the realm of dreams. Dreams in are not just scattered, meaningless illusions. They hum with intention, sometimes playful, sometimes dark, and sometimes carrying secrets too heavy for the waking mind to hold. They appear across the series as more than little detours. Instead, they act as windows into the soul of a character, and occasionally, into the soul of the universe itself. In the land of dreams are often drawn in strange colors and strange rhythms. They bend and fold time, showing Finn what might be, or what already is, but unseen. They bring Marceline's memories back in haunting fragments. They reveal the weight of crowns, of swords, of choices that echo through multiple lifetimes. And just like in our own world, these dreams can feel fleeting and fragile, yet unforgettable when they fade. To truly understand the dream lore of adventure time, we need to think of dreams as more than private visions. They exist as a shared dimension, a woven tapestry of the subconscious. The dreamscape, as it's sometimes called, stretches like a hidden network beneath the waking world. It is not quite a land you can walk into with your feet, but it is also not just in your head. It is a place that exists between, glowing faintly in the background of reality. Sometimes characters slip into it naturally, like Finn drifting into a night's sleep. Other times, entry is more intentional, a magical crossing, a spell, or a vision that leads directly into its shifting paths. In adventure time, the dreamscape is never drawn the same way twice. That is part of its nature. It reflects the dreamer, bending to mood, memory, and destiny. What makes dream realm so fascinating is that it blurs the line between fantasy and prophecy. When Finn dreams, he may wake with answers he never consciously knew. When the cosmic owl appears, the dream transforms into an omen, a soft whisper of fate weaving itself into the waking hours. And yet it still feels whimsical. The show never turns dreams into rigid rules. They are instead a drifting current, sometimes clear, sometimes confusing, always worth listening to. We can picture this realm like a quiet river at night. The water carries reflections of stars, but also shadows of things unseen. The current is slow, gentle, pulling the dreamer along without force. Every now and then the river widens into a lake, and there images rise, a sword glowing green, a crown of ice that feels heavy in the hand, a strange farmyard filled with people Finn has never met but somehow knows. When we follow these dreams, we begin to realize they are not just stories told in sleep. They are bridges that connect waking with alternate timelines, with inner fears, and with the universal threads of fate. Even the atmosphere of encourages this sense of dream. Its landscapes are already surreal. Mountains shaped like animals, candy people with real emotions, an endless desert of time, a night sky filled with hidden entities. To live in is already to walk close to the edge of the dream realm. So when its characters drift into sleep, the dream is not a departure. It is a continuation, a deeper dive into the same magic that colors their waking days. One of the most striking aspects of Adventure Time's dreams is how quietly they arrive. Often there is no fanfare. A character lies down, the scene shifts, and suddenly we are in another reality. At first it may seem nonsensical. Finn chasing a giant bear through a forest of candy canes, or the cosmic owl floating overhead without explanation. But as the dream unfolds, meaning begins to bloom. Something hidden is being revealed. A truth is whispering through the strangeness. For Finn, dreams often carry the weight of destiny. He does not always recognize it in the moment, But later the echoes are clear. A vision of the grass sword foreshadows his entanglement with it. A glimpse of another world shows him paths he might one day walk. These are not random images. They are gentle signposts glowing faintly in the dark, guiding him toward the challenges he must face. For Marceline, dreams often return her to memory. They are less about prophecy and more about the fragments of the past that continue to ache. In her dreams, her long life is stitched together out of moments. Her childhood with Simon, her wandering in a ruined world, her loneliness echoing in the halls of empty houses. Dreams for her are not only mysterious, they are emotional mirrors, reminding her of the heart she sometimes hides. Other characters too, from Princess Bubblegum to the Ice King, are shown in moments of dream. Each one unique, each one tinted by their essence. Bubblegum's visions are orderly yet fragile, sometimes crumbling into chaos. The Ice King's dreams are tangled with madness, yet deep down they still carry Simon's voice, echoing faintly from under layers of ice. The dream realm, then, is not a singular world. It is a shared field of consciousness, tailored to each soul who enters, yet bound by common rules. And one of the most consistent rules is this: if the cosmic owl arrives, pay attention. That is why dreams in OO feel both playful and dangerous. A character might brush off a dream as silly, yet later realize it was pointing them toward an unavoidable truth. Fate and whimsy coexist in this liminal space. And just as in our own dreams, we cannot always separate the nonsense from the message until much later. In a way, this makes the dream realm of Adventure Time deeply human, even amid its strangeness. It reminds us of our own nights when we dream of something that feels trivial, only to realize days or months later that it carried meaning. In OO, that meaning is magnified. Dreams are threads woven into the grand design of the story, shaping choices and hinting at outcomes long before they arrive. When we look closely at how Adventure Time frames its dreamscapes, we notice a careful balance. They are never treated as throwaway gags, even if they appear playful on the surface. Every dream seems to exist in a layered way. On the first layer, it is simply strange imagery, a sword floating in a field, or Finn speaking with a creature that should not exist. But if we linger, we realize there is another layer underneath, a meaning that fits into the larger mythos of OO, and below even that lies something quieter still, something deeply personal to the dreamer, shaped by their private memories and unspoken longings. This layered quality is part of what makes OO's dreams so powerful. A child might laugh at the bright colors or odd creatures, while an older viewer may sense the hidden symbolism humming beneath it all. Dreams in this world work like gentle mirrors, reflecting both the silly and the serious, both the light of play and the shadow of prophecy. One of the most subtle touches in the series is how these dreamscapes often blur seamlessly back into waking life. Finn may wake up and still feel the weight of what he saw. Sometimes a dream leaves him confused, other times inspired, and occasionally shaken. Yet no matter what, the dream clings to him, echoing in his decisions. We can see how his subconscious and his destiny speak to one another across that veil of sleep. The cosmic owl is the most obvious symbol of this bridge, but even when the owl does not appear, dreams carry that same weight. Think about how Finn's relationship with the grass sword first manifested in his dreams. He saw visions that made little sense at first, but slowly they revealed the inevitability of his bond with the cursed blade. Those early glimpses were not warnings he could avoid. They were seeds planted in his mind, preparing him for what was to come. If we expand outward from Finn, we see that nearly every major character has a moment when dreams reveal something hidden. Marceline dreams not just of events but of feelings long buried. Her music itself can be seen as a kind of dream-given voice, soft and haunting, echoing with memories. Princess Bubblegum, though more rational than most, still finds her subconscious slipping into visions that betray her carefully constructed order. And the Ice King, poor and fragmented, has dreams that touch the core of Simon Petrikov's tragedy, hinting at the man still trapped beneath the crown's madness. Each of these dreams reminds us that the dreamscape is not only a place of fantasy, but a kind of archive. It stores what is forgotten, it gathers what is feared. It whispers of what is to come. We can even think of the dreamscape as a library without shelves. Each dream is a book, opening only when the dreamer closes their eyes. Some books are lighthearted fairy tales. Others are grim prophecies. Some repeat over and over, as if the dreamer is stuck rereading the same chapter until they finally understand. Adventure Time uses this subtle motif beautifully, showing us that dreams are not interruptions in the story. They are chapters of the story itself. There is also the way the dreamscape connects to the wider cosmology of U. The show repeatedly hints that reality itself is fragile, stitched together by threads of magic, science, and destiny. Dreams act like the spaces between those stitches. They seep through the gaps, revealing glimpses of what lies beyond. That is why Finn's dreams sometimes show him entire alternate realities, such as Farm World. It is not that he invented them in sleep, but rather that the veil thinned, and for a moment, his mind brushed against another possibility. This idea that dreams connect all realities is one of the most enchanting aspects of Adventure Time's lore. It suggests that every dream is more than a picture show in the brain. It is a crossing, however brief, into the infinite multiverse. The dreamscape is not limited to U or even to a single timeline. It stretches endlessly, shimmering with paths that branch and diverge. And while most dreamers may only wander within their own small circle, sometimes a chosen few are carried further. When Finn dreams of Farm World, for instance, he is not only seeing another version of himself, he is feeling for a moment the weight of choices never made, the echoes of lives unlived. This is why the dream feels so vivid, and why it later entwines with waking events. The dreamscape in those moments is not a metaphor. It is a true connection, a bridge across the multiverse. And so the quiet realm of dreams in U becomes both gentle and vast. Gentle because it is entered through the softness of sleep. Vast because within that sleep lies the potential to touch all of existence. That contrast, intimacy, and infinity makes the dream lore of Adventure Time so special. It mirrors the experience of dreaming in our own lives. We drift to sleep in a small room, under a blanket, safe in bed. Yet our minds expand outward into entire worlds, into impossible places and forgotten times. We close our eyes and suddenly we are in a forest or a city or a conversation with someone long gone. Adventure Time captures this truth but magnifies it, giving dreams a tangible role in shaping reality. The show gently asks us, what if our dreams are not only ours? What if they are shared threads, woven into the great fabric of existence, connecting us to others, to past and future, to alternate versions of ourselves? This question is never answered outright, but through Finn, Marceline, Bubblegum, and even the Ice King, we are invited to wonder. As we sink deeper into this segment, it becomes clear that the dreamscape is not a side note in Adventure Time's mythos. It is central, even if quietly so. Without it, many of the show's turning points would lose their meaning. It is through dreams that destiny is whispered, through dreams that memory is preserved, through dreams that we glimpse the endlessness of the multiverse. And in the stillness of U's nights, when the characters close their eyes, we too feel that pull. The quiet realm opens, waiting, soft and strange, ready to show what cannot be seen in the light of day. If we close our eyes alongside the heroes of U, we begin to notice that their dreams are shaped not only by personal fears and memories, but also by the world itself. U is a land born out of ruin, a place forever marked by the echoes of the Mushroom War. Though most of its bright kingdoms hide the scars with sugar-coated colors and playful creatures, that history lingers, and sometimes in sleep, it emerges. Finn's dreams occasionally touch this undercurrent of history, surfacing images of landscapes he has never walked, yet which feel achingly familiar. Farm World is one such glimpse, a parallel born from a single choice that unfolded differently in another timeline. But even beyond that, his dreams seem drawn to ruins, to fragments of an older Earth that haunt U's soil. It is almost as if the dreamscape itself remembers, carrying the memory of destruction in its rivers of imagery. Marceline embodies this connection to memory even more strongly. As one of the oldest characters in the main cast, her subconscious stretches back 8,000 years. When she dreams, she does not only see shadows of what might come, she relives what has already been. The loneliness of her childhood, the bittersweet comfort of Simon's care before the crown swallowed him, the long wandering through wastelands where few others survived. Dreams for Marceline are often less about prophecy and more about stitching together fragments of her long and complicated heart. And in a sense, her dreams show us that the dreamscape is not limited by time. In waking life, the past is gone, locked behind the ticking of the clock. But in dreams, the past can return in full color, heavy with sound and feeling. A conversation can be replayed, a moment revisited, a love remembered. For Marceline, this is both gift and curse. It means she never truly loses what has been, but also that she never fully escapes it. The Ice King's dreams reveal another layer of this timelessness. Beneath his scattered madness, beneath the awkward rambling and desperate need for company, lies Simon Petrikov. And in dreams, fragments of Simon sometimes stir. He glimpses the man he once was, even if he does not understand it upon waking. These dreams are tragic to us as viewers, because they show that Simon's essence is not fully erased. It lingers, reaching upwards through layers of ice and magic, trying to find air. Dreams, then, serve as a kind of balance in ooh. They give back what waking life takes away. They restore what has been hidden. They reveal what lies ahead. They remind us that the mind is never limited to the present moment. It roams, it stretches, it collects pieces of all that was, all that is, and all that could be. Even Princess Bubblegum, who prides herself on reason, cannot keep her dreams purely logical. Her waking world is built on control, on calculated systems, and carefully managed outcomes. But in her dreams, the mask slips. Images unravel her order into chaos, reminding her that beneath the scientist, she is still human. Or Candy, but human enough in spirit. In these dreams, her subconscious whispers what she does not say aloud, that her need for control often hides her fear of losing everything. The quiet brilliance of Adventure Time is that these dreams are rarely explained outright. The show never pauses to tell us, this is what it means. Instead, it lets the imagery flow past like water. The viewer, if they are attentive, begins to notice the patterns. The sword that recurs, the crown that always weighs heavy, the owl that never arrives without consequence. These patterns slowly stitch themselves into the larger fabric of the story, rewarding those who listen closely. This is very much how our own dreams work. We wake from them with feelings more than answers. Sometimes they make no sense, yet the memory lingers, tugging at us throughout the day. Adventure Time captures this sensation perfectly. The characters do not always understand what they have seen, but they carry it with them, and in time, the meaning blossoms. Another detail worth noticing is how gently the series frames the transition into dreams. Unlike other shows that might announce a dream sequence with dramatic cues, Adventure Time often slips into it almost unnoticed. A character lies down, the scene softens, and suddenly we are elsewhere. The dream arrives like night itself, quiet, inevitable, and complete. This subtlety makes the dream realm feel all the more real because it mimics our own experience of drifting from wakefulness into sleep. The atmosphere of ooh at night also adds to this immersion. The landscapes that are playful by day turn hauntingly still in the dark. Forests hum with distant life. The stars crowd the sky with impossible density. Rivers shimmer faintly, reflecting the moon. It is within this nocturnal quiet that dreams bloom most vividly. The world itself seems to invite them. We can imagine Finn lying in his treehouse bed, with Jake softly snoring beside him. The candles burn down, the night air cool, and the only sound the gentle rustling of leaves outside. In that stillness, Finn drifts, and when he drifts, he does not fall into nothingness. He falls into the dreamscape, into a place where swords whisper, owls loom, and other versions of himself live full lives. The show allows us to share in that drifting, guiding us not with jolts or shocks, but with soft surrealism. This is why the dream realm of Adventure Time feels so natural within its mythos. The entire series already walks the line between childlike play and cosmic mystery. Dreams simply extend that balance into another dimension. They are not interruptions in the narrative. They are natural continuations, the quiet nighttime echo of the wild daytime adventures. Through this lens, we can begin to see the dreamscape as one of the great hidden pillars of OO. Alongside magic, science, and destiny, dreams form another foundation. They shape choices, reveal truths, and connect realities. Without them, the story of Adventure Time would lose some of its most profound depth. And just as OO itself is colorful on the surface, yet haunted underneath, its dream realm is playful in appearance, yet serious in purpose. A candy bear might dance across a dreamscape, but the lesson it carries could alter a hero's path forever. That balance between whimsy and gravity is what makes Adventure Time's treatment of dreams both soothing and unforgettable. If we stay a little longer in this quiet realm, we notice that the dreamscape does not simply reflect the mind of the dreamer. It also carries rules of its own, subtle laws that seem to weave through every vision. One of the most consistent is repetition. When a dream is important, it returns. The images may shift slightly, but the core remains the same. Finn's visions of the grass sword, for example, did not vanish after one night. They circled back again and again, each time offering another piece of the puzzle. The repetition ensures that destiny cannot be ignored. Another quiet rule is intrusion. Dreams in OO are not sealed, private spaces. They can be touched, altered, or entered by others. The cosmic owl is the clearest example, stepping into a dream as if it were a room he visits whenever fate demands it. But there are other moments too, when dreams feel shared, as though two minds brushed against one another in the same hidden corridor. This opens the possibility that the dreamscape is not just inside the dreamer, but a larger place where all dreamers drift together, rarely noticing their neighbors. There is also the rule of consequence. A dream is not erased when morning comes. Its echoes often linger into waking life, influencing choices and outcomes. Sometimes this is subtle, an image that shapes a decision days later. Other times it is direct, a prophecy fulfilled exactly as foretold. In this way, the dreamscape holds power equal to any kingdom in OO. It governs not through armies or magic, but through whispers in the night. It is worth pausing here to notice how gently the series delivers these truths. Adventure Time never shouts its secrets. It does not halt the story to lecture us on what dreams mean. Instead, it presents them quietly, trusting the viewer to piece things together. This mirrors how dreams feel in our own lives. Never explained, always half remembered, yet quietly shaping us in ways we may not realize until much later. The artistry of this approach is that it allows dreams to feel both mysterious and relatable. We might never encounter a cosmic owl in our sleep, but we know what it feels like to wake with the weight of a dream that seemed more than chance. We know what it feels like to see a symbol repeat across nights, tugging at our mind. By embedding this human experience into the fantastical landscape of OO, the show bridges imagination and reality with gentle ease. Another dimension of the dreamscape lies in its connection to storytelling itself. Adventure Time at its heart is about tales passed down, myths, legends, memories, and personal journeys. Dreams act like stories told by the subconscious, sometimes cryptic, sometimes straightforward. They carry lessons, warnings, or reflections. And just as the characters learn from their waking adventures, they also grow through the tales whispered in sleep. Dreams expand the narrative, making sure that growth does not stop when the eyes close. This reveals something profound. In OO, dreaming is not a passive act. It is a form of participation in the great unfolding of the universe. When Finn dreams, he is not merely resting. He is engaging with destiny, with memory, with the multiverse itself. When Marceline dreams, she is reconnecting with the parts of herself that time tried to erase. When the Ice King dreams, Simon Petrikov stirs beneath the surface, reminding us that identity can never be fully frozen away. Each dream is active, shaping both the dreamer and the world around them. And so the quiet realm of dreams stands as one of the most essential yet understated dimensions in Adventure Time's lore. It is a realm that welcomes every character, regardless of age, power, or history. Kings and heroes, scientists and musicians, all are dreamers. All drift through the same current, carried by images that blend personal memory with cosmic design. What makes it so soothing is that despite the weight of fate and prophecy, the dreamscape is never portrayed as cruel. Even when the cosmic owl delivers visions of death, there is a softness to the experience. Dreams may reveal hard truths, but they do so gently, wrapped in surreal imagery that feels distant enough to hold, yet close enough to matter. The dreamer wakes changed, but not shattered. This balance is what makes Oo's dream lore feel comforting rather than harsh, even in its darkest moments. We might imagine lying beneath the stars of Ooh ourselves, closing our eyes and drifting into that shared realm. Perhaps we would see fragments of our own past stitched into its landscapes. Perhaps we would meet versions of ourselves in other timelines, just as Finn glimpsed Farm World. Perhaps we would simply wander through strange candy forests, laughing at their absurdity, while somewhere in the distance the cosmic owl watched with silent eyes. Whatever we found, we would awaken carrying the echo of it, just as the characters do. The dreamscape reminds us that every night is an adventure, even if our bodies remain still. That within the hush of sleep, whole worlds open. That memory, prophecy, and imagination are not separate, but threads of the same tapestry. And through the soft rhythm of Adventure Time, we are invited to see our own dreams with the same reverence, with patience, with curiosity, and with quiet wonder.
When we begin to trace the dream lore of Adventure Time through the eyes of its many characters, there is one figure who stands at the very center of it all, Finn the human. Dreams follow him like a shadow. They whisper to him of what is coming. They reflect the struggles that churn within his heart. And they sometimes offer glimpses of lives he was never meant to live. Finn is unusual in Ooh. He is the last known human for much of the series, a boy born into a world that feels both magical and alien to his kind. And perhaps because of this, his dreams are more open, more porous than most. They do not stay confined to personal worries or childhood fears. They expand outward, touching prophecy and multiverse alike. Finn's subconscious seems especially receptive to the deeper currents of the dreamscape, as though being human makes him a kind of Menon's empty vessel, ready to catch whatever visions drift past in the night. Some of Finn's earliest dream sequences are deceptively simple. A glowing landscape, a strange encounter, an object that feels out of place. But the more we look, the more they reveal about his inner self. One of the earliest patterns is the way Finn's dreams often revolve around weapons and battles. Even when he is safe in his treehouse, the dream world places him in conflict, forcing him to confront not only enemies, but also his own relationship with violence and destiny. The grass sword, for example, does not simply arrive as a tool in waking life. It coils around Finn's subconscious first. He sees visions of the blade binding itself to him, of its green light wrapping around his arm, foreshadowing the entanglement that would define a long stretch of his story. These dreams were not warnings he could simply dismiss. They were inevitabilities, slowly writing themselves into his destiny. The grass sword was not just a weapon. It was a symbol of burden, of temptation, and of the hidden costs of power. The fact that Finn saw it first in dreams shows how central the dreamscape is to his path. Another recurring theme in Finn's dreams is identity. Being human in Ao is already a question mark. He grows up surrounded by candy people, magical dogs, and ancient vampires, yet he has little understanding of where he comes from or what being human even means. His dreams sometimes echo this uncertainty, presenting him with distorted reflections of himself, versions of Finn who look familiar but feel strange, alternate selves who embody different choices, different futures. The most powerful example of this is Farm World Finn, glimpsed in dreams long before the multiverse is explicitly explored. In these visions, Finn sees a boy much like himself but shaped by a harsher world. A Finn who has no treehouse, no Jake, no bright colors of Candy Kingdom to lean on. A Finn whose destiny is marked not by playful heroism, but by survival and shadow. When we look at these dreams, they are more than curiosities. They are glimpses of paths Finn could have walked, possibilities written into the fabric of the multiverse. And once again, it is dreams that open the door. Dreams also become a way for Finn to process loss. Throughout the series, he experiences moments of heartbreak, rejection, and the slow realization that life does not always match heroic ideals. In waking life, Finn tries to charge forward, to keep smiling, to fight and protect. But in dreams, his subconscious often reveals the weight he carries. Images of crumbling structures, of friends slipping away, of quests that end before they begin. These visions are not always as direct as the grass sword or the cosmic owl, yet they matter just as much. They show us the quiet side of Finn, the boy beneath the hero mask. One of the most haunting aspects of Finn's dream journeys is the way they sometimes blur into nightmare. Not every vision is prophetic or symbolic. Some are simply frightening, pulling him into spaces where he feels powerless. These nightmares remind us that Finn is still young, still vulnerable, still human. Even the bravest hero can wake up in a sweat, heart racing, unsure of where the dream ends and the morning begins. Adventure Time does not shy away from showing this, and in doing so, it makes Finn's character feel all the more real. At the same time, Finn's dreams are not only heavy or frightening, they can also be strangely whimsical, echoing the playful spirit of Ooh itself. A candy bear bouncing across a field, Jake stretching into impossible shapes, laughing. Colors swirling in ways that make no sense but bring a sense of wonder. These lighter dreams balance the darker ones, reminding us that the subconscious is not only a place of prophecy and fear, but also of imagination and joy. For Finn, these moments of dream play are just as important. They show that even in the depths of destiny, there is room for laughter and light. And so, when we look at Finn's journey through dreams, we see a tapestry. Threads of prophecy, woven with threads of memory, tangled with threads of imagination. Each night brings a different pattern, but all of them together shape the boy into the hero he must become. His dreams are not distractions from his story. They are the hidden foundation of it. When Finn dreams, the boundaries between his personal struggles and the vast mysteries of Ooh are always blurred. His subconscious does not separate the two. Instead, it binds them together in imagery that feels both deeply personal and cosmically significant. A dream about a sword is not only about his battles, it is about the weight of responsibility. A dream of a crumbling world is not only about his own fears, it is about the fragility of existence itself. Finn's mind, when he sleeps, becomes a canvas where both the boy and the hero are painted at once. This blending is especially clear when we watch how Finn's dreams often circle back to themes of destiny. Again and again, his subconscious presents him with choices before he is ready to face them in waking life. It is as though the dreamscape is preparing him, softening the edges of reality before he steps into it fully. The grass sword is the most direct example, but there are others. dreams where Finn sees himself holding objects he has not yet found, or standing in places he has not yet visited. These visions feel like faint ripples of the future, reaching back to meet him in the stillness of night. Yet destiny in Finn's dreams is not shown as fixed. It is always tinged with possibility. Farm World, Finn demonstrates this best. By glimpsing an alternate version of himself, Finn begins to understand that his life could have unfolded differently. That realization does not make his current path meaningless. In fact, it makes it heavier. Knowing that another Finn lived a life of harsh survival shows him that his world of friendship and laughter is fragile, precious, and worth protecting. Dreams in this way teach him to value what he has. At the same time, Finn's dreams often reflect his longing for connection. As a boy who grew up feeling isolated, the last human in a strange land, his subconscious reveals that need again and again. Sometimes this comes through in dreams where he is surrounded by people who seem familiar but are not quite real. Faces of friends, blurred and shifting, suggesting the human family he never had. Other times, his dreams bring back those he has loved and lost, offering him fleeting moments of reunion that vanish when the morning comes. These visions may not alter the plot directly, but they shape Finn's emotional depth, reminding us that beneath the hero's courage is a boy who longs not to be alone. The cosmic owl plays a crucial role in this journey. Whenever the owl appears in Finn's dreams, the tone changes. The whimsical imagery fades and something heavier settles in. The cosmic owl is a herald of fate, a reminder that this particular vision carries weight beyond the personal. Finn does not always understand what the owl's presence means, but we as viewers learn quickly to pay attention. The owl's arrival is never casual. It marks the dream as a prophecy, binding Finn to outcomes he cannot easily escape. And though the owl itself is calm, almost passive, its presence leaves a lasting unease. Finn wakes from these encounters shaken, aware that the dream was more than a dream. One of the most striking dream sequences comes when Finn dreams of the comet. The imagery of the great falling star connects not only to his own life, but to the cycles of existence in Oo. In that dream, Finn touches on something larger than himself, an ancient pattern that has repeated across ages. This moment shows how his subconscious is tied not just to his personal fate, but to the cosmic rhythm of creation and destruction. For a boy who began as simply an adventurer with a sword, such visions show the depth of his connection to the universe. His dreams reveal that he is part of a story much older and larger than he could ever imagine. Yet even with these grand visions, Finn's dreams remain deeply human. They carry the awkwardness, the vulnerability, and the confusion of a young boy trying to find his place in the world. There are nights when he dreams not of swords or comets, but of simple worries, a friend's disappointment, a crush unreturned, the fear of growing up too fast. These softer dreams are just as important as the cosmic ones. They remind us that Finn is not just a chosen hero. He is a child navigating the uncertainties of life, and his dreams give us a window into that tender truth. Adventure Time handles this balance with remarkable care. The show never reduces Finn's dreams to simple plot devices. They are not just tools to foreshadow events. Instead, they are layered, complex, and full of meaning on multiple levels. They speak to Finn's inner life while also hinting at the vast design of Oo. They prepare him for battles, but they also comfort him in loneliness. They connect him to other realities, but they also remind him of who he already is. And as we follow Finn through these dreamscapes, we are invited to reflect on our own. Just as he learns from the images that rise in sleep, we too might wonder what our dreams are quietly telling us. Perhaps they are not random after all. Perhaps, like in Oo, they are gentle guides weaving the threads of destiny, memory, and longing into stories we can carry into the waking day. As Finn grows older, his dreams grow more complex. In the early seasons, many of his visions carry the simplicity of youth, bright images, direct symbols, clear lessons. But as his journey deepens and his experiences become heavier, his subconscious follows suit. The dreams he has later in the series are layered with nuance, filled with contradictions and sometimes nearly impossible to untangle. This mirrors his own coming of age. The boy who once believed that every problem could be solved with bravery and a sword learns that life is rarely so simple. His dreams evolve with him, reflecting both his growth and his struggles. One of the clearest examples of this evolution is how Finn's dreams shift from focusing on adventure to focusing on responsibility. In his younger years, a dream might place him in the middle of a battle, sword flashing, enemies at his feet. These dreams echo his desire to prove himself, to live up to the heroic role he has chosen. But later, his dreams begin to reveal the weight of his choices. He dreams not only of action, but of consequence. He sees the faces of those he has hurt, the structures that have crumbled because of decisions he made, the quiet loneliness that follows when glory fades. His subconscious begins to teach him that heroism is not only about victory, it is about bearing the cost of failure. The grass sword thread is one of the strongest connections between Finn's dreams and his waking fate. Long before its final form as the Finn sword and the complicated journey that followed, the blade first showed itself in visions. It was as though the dreamscape itself wanted him to be prepared, even if he could not yet understand. These recurring images of the green energy binding to his arm symbolized more than combat. They represented entanglement, the way destiny can cling and refuse to let go. Each time Finn dreamed of the grass sword, the bond grew tighter, until waking life finally caught up with the visions. This blending of dream and reality reaches its most striking point when Finn begins to experience glimpses of alternate selves. The farm world sequence is central here. In dreams, Finn meets another version of himself shaped by an entirely different history. This encounter is both fascinating and unsettling. For Finn, it is the first real hint that the world is not fixed, that other timelines and other choices exist, each carrying their own version of him. To see this truth in a dream makes it feel less like theory and more like memory, as though farm world Finn is not someone else, but another him, living in parallel. These visions reveal to Finn that his story is one of many, that his life is part of a grander pattern stretching across realities. There is also a quieter dimension to Finn's dreams, the way they reveal his insecurities. Beneath his bravery, Finn often struggles with self-doubt, especially as he grows into adolescence. In dreams, this uncertainty takes form. He may find himself in places where his sword breaks or where his friends vanish, leaving him powerless. These images may seem simple, but they cut to the heart of his fears, the fear of not being enough, the fear of failing those he loves. Adventure Time uses these dreams to remind us that even the boldest hero is still a child learning to trust himself. The cosmic owl reappears during these years as well, marking dreams that cannot be ignored. For Finn, the owl's presence always leaves a mark. Even if he does not understand the message at the time, he wakes with a sense of gravity and awareness that something in his future has shifted. The owl never explains. It simply arrives, silent and watchful, and then departs, leaving Finn to puzzle over the meaning. This silence makes the prophecy all the more haunting. It is not explained in words, it is felt in the weight of the dream itself. One particularly moving dream comes when Finn faces visions of the comet. This falling star is not just an image of destruction. It is a symbol of cycles, of endings that bring new beginnings. For Finn, to dream of the comet is to touch the deepest truth of his story. He is not only a boy living in awe, he is part of something cosmic, something that has unfolded again and again across time. The comet ties his fate to the universe itself, making his dreams a meeting place between the human heart and the endless stars. Yet even in the midst of such grand visions, Finn's dreams retain their intimacy. They are not only about prophecy and destiny, they are also about longing, love, and the fragile connections of daily life. He dreams of Princess Bubblegum, a flame princess, of moments of affection and loss. These dreams reveal his hopes and his heartbreak, giving us glimpses of the tender boy behind the title of hero. For Finn, dreams become a place where he can process feelings too overwhelming to face when awake. This is why his dream journey feels so complete. It carries the whole spectrum of experience: fear and joy, prophecy and memory, love and loss. Each vision adds another thread to the tapestry of his life, shaping him in ways he may not even realize. And as viewers watching Finn drift through these dreams, we see how his subconscious becomes both a guide and a mirror. It shows him where he is going, but it also shows him who he already is. Dreams allow Finn to face truths he might otherwise ignore. They soften him when he becomes hardened, and they strengthen him when he feels weak. They remind him that he is both small and vast, both a single human boy and a being tied to the great cycles of the universe. His journey through dreams is, in many ways, the quiet story beneath the louder one. The story told not in battles or quests, but in whispers heard only at night. As Finn's story continues to unfold, his dreamscapes take on an even more layered role. They are no longer just reflections of his own heart or glimpses of alternate selves. They become conversations with destiny itself. In these later dreams, the line between the subconscious and the cosmic dissolves, and we see Finn standing in the middle of both. His visions of the comet make this clearest, but even smaller dreams hold the same quiet weight. What makes Finn's journey through dreams so powerful is that it reveals growth not only in strength, but in wisdom. When he is younger, he often wakes from dreams confused, frightened, or dismissive. He treats them as strange diversions, little more than odd stories playing in his head. But as he matures, he begins to listen more closely. He learns to feel the texture of the dream, to recognize when it is pointing him towards something important. This shift shows how Finn himself evolves from a boy reacting to the world around him to a young man learning to interpret and reflect. One dream that stands out is when Finn finds himself face to face with versions of people he knows, but altered in strange ways. These encounters may not always be literal, but they are meaningful. A friend appearing cold or distant in a dream often mirrors Finn's own doubts about their relationship. A vision of Jake stretched into impossible shapes reflects both comfort and anxiety. Jake's flexibility as a protector and the fear that even his closest bond could be pulled too thin. The dreamscape here becomes a safe space for Finn to confront what he cannot say aloud. There is a tenderness in how Adventure Time handles these moments. The dreams are never cruel for cruelty's sake. They may unsettle, but they also guide. They allow Finn to practice courage in the safety of sleep, so that he may carry it into waking life. This is most evident in his recurring encounters with the cosmic owl. Each appearance of the owl unsettles him, yes, but it also teaches him to pay attention. Even if he does not fully understand, Finn begins to realize that dreams are not noise, they are messages. And by learning to listen, he learns to grow. Finn's dreams also remind us of the inevitability of change. As he ages, he cannot return to the simple visions of childhood. The dreamscapes that once comforted him now confront him with complexity. This mirrors the journey all of us take as we grow. The monsters under the bed give way to more abstract fears of loneliness, of failure, of losing what we hold most dear. Finn's dreams chart this passage gently, showing us that even heroes must face the same universal transition from innocence to understanding. There is also a symbolic rhythm in how Finn's dreams oscillate between solitude and connection. Some nights he wanders alone through vast, empty landscapes, his footsteps echoing against endless horizons. Other nights he is surrounded by faces, by friends, by strange companions from worlds that may or may not exist. These alternating patterns reflect his deepest struggle, to reconcile his identity as the last human with his longing for belonging. The dreamscape mirrors this inner dialogue, sometimes isolating him, sometimes surrounding him, never letting him forget the push and pull of who he is. Perhaps the most poignant aspect of Finn's dream journey is how it links him to memory. There are moments when his dreams carry echoes of his mother, of his childhood, of fragments of a life barely remembered. These glimpses may be brief, but they are powerful. They suggest that dreams are not only about the future or the present, but also about preserving what is nearly lost. For Finn, who begins his story as a boy with little knowledge of his own past, these dream fragments are precious. They remind him and us that identity is made of all times at once. By the time Finn reaches the later chapters of his story, his relationship with dreams has shifted entirely. He no longer sees them as distractions. He accepts them as part of his path. Each dream, whether lighthearted or prophetic, becomes another voice in the chorus guiding him forward. And this acceptance is itself a sign of growth. Finn does not need every vision to be clear. He learns to live with mystery, to trust that meaning will reveal itself in time. This patience, this quiet wisdom, marks his passage into maturity more clearly than any battle or victory could. So when we look back on Finn's journey through dreams, what we see is not a scattered series of strange episodes, but a continuous thread. From the playful visions of childhood to the prophetic encounters with the cosmic owl, from the haunting glimpses of farm world to the cosmic weight of the comet, his dreams form a hidden narrative running parallel to the waking one. They tell the same story in softer tones, offering guidance, reflection, and meaning. In the end, Finn's dreams remind us that the subconscious is not a lesser realm. It is another dimension of truth, one that cannot be reached by swords or quests. It is reached only by closing the eyes, by surrendering to sleep, by letting the mind wander where it will. For Finn, this wandering brings him closer to destiny, to identity, and to the vastness of the universe itself. If there is one figure who hovers quietly at the center of Oo's dream lore, it is the cosmic owl. Gentle in appearance, with wide wings and eyes that glow like lanterns, he glides through dreams with a silence that feels both comforting and unsettling. His presence is never loud. He does not arrive with thunder or flame. Instead, he simply appears, and in that stillness we understand. something important has been revealed. The cosmic owl is not like other creatures in Oo. He is not a friend, not an enemy, not even fully a character in the ordinary sense. He is more like a force of nature, a messenger tied not to personal will, but to the great flow of destiny. When he appears in a dream, the meaning is always the same. This vision will come true. It may unfold tomorrow, it may unfold years later, but the path has already been set. The cosmic owl does not create prophecy. He delivers it. This makes his role deeply mysterious. Is he a servant of fate, carrying messages that are written elsewhere? Or is he fate itself, embodied in the form of a bird that can slip quietly into the minds of dreamers? Adventure Time never answers this outright. Instead, it allows us to sit with the question, watching as the owl's appearances ripple through the story. For Finn, encountering the cosmic owl is always a moment of unease. When the owl enters his dream, the tone shifts. What might begin as a strange or playful vision suddenly grows heavy, as though the air itself has thickened. Finn may not fully understand the meaning at the time, but he feels the weight. He wakes knowing that something has been set in motion, that what he saw is not a mere trick of the subconscious. These moments remind him, and us, that the dreamscape is not just personal. It is a place where the threads of fate are woven into clear images, delivered without explanation. The owl's presence is not limited to Finn. Other characters, too, have dreams marked by his arrival. Each time, the pattern is the same. The dream may vary in imagery, but the meaning is absolute. The prophecy will be fulfilled. This rule gives the owl a power unlike any other entity in Oo. Even the most powerful kings and sorcerers cannot resist fate once it has been whispered through a dream marked by his wings. One of the most striking examples of this is the dream where Finn sees the cosmic owl in connection with his own death. The imagery is strange, unsettling, yet calm in its delivery. The owl is there, silent as always, and that silence carries more power than any shouted warning. For Finn, to see the owl tied to his own mortality is deeply frightening, but it also reveals the truth that no hero, no matter how brave, is beyond the reach of destiny. Dreams may comfort, but they may also remind us of what cannot be avoided. There is a paradox in the owl's role that makes him even more fascinating. On one hand, he is a herald of inevitability. On the other, his appearances raise questions about interpretation. A dream may be destined to come true, but how it comes true is often unclear. Finn and others sometimes misunderstand what they have seen, and in trying to avoid it, they bring it about. This irony deepens the lore of the cosmic owl. He does not deliver clear instructions. He offers images, and it is up to the dreamer to understand them or to fail in that understanding. This ambiguity is what makes the owl feel both divine and tragic. He is not cruel, but neither is he merciful. He is simply present, carrying prophecy like feathers on the wind. To encounter him is to brush against inevitability, and that experience can be both awe-inspiring and terrifying. The owl does not tell dreamers what to do. He does not guide them toward safety. He simply reveals, leaving them to carry the weight of knowledge. In this way, the cosmic owl embodies the nature of dreams themselves. Dreams do not always give us clarity. They give us images, fragments, sensations. We wake with pieces of meaning, but not the whole, and yet those fragments shape us, influencing our choices and our paths. The owl is the ultimate dream symbol, clear in presence, yet endlessly open to interpretation. What makes him even more intriguing is how ordinary he sometimes seems. Outside of the dreamscape, The cosmic owl is portrayed in a comically mundane light. We see him lounging, eating snacks, living a life that seems far less mystical than his appearances in dreams would suggest. This contrast is deliberate. It reminds us that even beings tied to prophecy are not above the absurdity and playfulness of Ooh. Yet when he enters the dream realm, all comedy falls away. He becomes once again the silent herald of fate. This duality makes him all the more enigmatic. Is he truly divine, or is he simply a creature bound to a role he cannot escape? For the people of Ooh, the answer does not matter. What matters is that his presence in a dream marks it forever. To see the cosmic owl is to know that the vision will unfold in waking life, and so his wings cast a long shadow across the narrative of Adventure Time, touching Finn, Jake, and countless others. He is not always visible, but his influence is constant, shaping the story in quiet, unseen ways. The cosmic owl's most important function is not only to deliver prophecy, but to remind us of how fragile interpretation can be. When Finn dreams of the owl, the meaning is never handed to him like a solved puzzle. Instead, the dream lingers in his memory like a riddle. He wakes unsettled, replaying the images in his mind, wondering if he has grasped the truth or overlooked something vital. This uncertainty captures the essence of prophecy in Adventure Time. Fate may be fixed, but understanding it is not. One of the most vivid examples comes in the arc where Finn encounters the owl during visions tied to mortality. The dream is clear in its imagery, but not in its meaning. Finn believes he has seen the exact manner of his death, a revelation that weighs heavily on him. But as the story unfolds, the prophecy manifests in ways that are both literal and symbolic. The dream does not lie, but Finn's interpretation of it proves incomplete. The lesson here is subtle. Dreams reveal, but they rarely explain. It is the burden of the dreamer to live with mystery, to act without certainty. This tension is part of why the cosmic owl feels so unsettling. He does not speak, yet his silence is louder than words. To see him perched in a dream is to feel the universe leaning in, whispering that what you see matters. That calm, watchful gaze suggests inevitability. The dreamer may wish to turn away, but the image remains etched into the future as surely as into memory. And yet, despite this heaviness, there is also a strange comfort in the owl's role. His presence suggests that the universe is not random. Events unfold with design, even if the design is beyond human comprehension. For Finn, who often wrestles with the chaos of growing up in a magical, unpredictable world, this can bring a certain peace. Even if the prophecy is frightening, it reminds him that his story fits into a larger tapestry. His life, with all its struggles, has meaning woven into it. Adventure Time underscores this paradox by occasionally pulling back the curtain on the cosmic owl's private life. In one episode, we see him in a domestic setting, lounging on a couch, eating snacks, even dozing off. This mundane side is played for humor, but it also deepens the mystery. How can the same being who delivers cosmic prophecy also live in such ordinariness? The answer may be that prophecy itself is not as exalted as we imagine. It is simply a natural current of the universe, flowing through beings like the owl who are bound to its tides. His everyday life reminds us that even fate's messengers are not immune to the quirks of existence. The owl also reflects one of the central themes of Adventure Time: the coexistence of silliness and profundity. A dream featuring the cosmic owl may contain slapstick elements or strange, playful imagery, but beneath it lies a prophecy that will unfold with certainty. The series teaches us that depth can live within humor, and that fate does not always arrive wrapped in solemnity. Sometimes destiny comes with laughter, or with the absurdity of a bird who snacks and naps just like anyone else. Yet we cannot deny the quiet gravity of his appearances. Every major plotline involving prophecy circles back to the cosmic owl. When the show wants us to feel the inevitability of destiny, it does not rely on thunderbolts or declarations. It gives us the owl, perched silently in the dreamscape, eyes glowing with knowledge we cannot fully grasp. This restraint is what makes him so effective. He is not frightening because of violence or power. He is frightening because of certainty. The cosmic owl also ties Adventure Time into a much older tradition of myth. In cultures across the world, owls have long been associated with wisdom, prophecy, and death. They are creatures of the night, watchers of the unseen, carriers of knowledge that others overlook. By making the owl the herald of fate, Adventure Time draws on this archetype, blending folklore into its surreal, post-apocalyptic world. The cosmic owl is not only part of he is part of the timeless human imagination, where dreams and birds alike are symbols of what lies beyond the veil. At the same time, Adventure Time twists this archetype by giving the owl a personality. He is not merely a solemn mythic figure. He has quirks, flaws, and even a kind of laziness. This duality reminds us that even archetypes can be playful. Prophecy does not need to be grandiose to be meaningful. The owl's sleepy demeanor emphasizes that fate is not always dramatic. It is simply steady, arriving whether we are ready or not. For Finn, learning to live with the cosmic owl's presence becomes a form of maturity. At first he resists, afraid of what the dreams mean. Later he begins to accept them, not as threats, but as truths. The prophecies may be daunting, but they are part of the rhythm of his life. This acceptance shows how Finn's growth is mirrored not only in his waking adventures, but also in the way he responds to the dreamscape. To accept the owl is to accept fate itself, unpredictable in its details, but certain in its unfolding. The cosmic owl's role extends beyond individual characters, too. His presence shapes the tone of the entire series. Every time he appears, the audience feels the same quiet shift as the characters. We know that what we are seeing will matter. It anchors the dream sequences, reminding us that Adventure Time's whimsical imagery is not only for amusement. Beneath the play lies prophecy, waiting patiently to bloom into reality. The owl's dream visitations often feel like scenes frozen in glass, strange, still, and utterly memorable. They stay with Finn and with us because they do not play by the rules of ordinary storytelling. A prophecy in Adventure Time is not written in words or scrolls. It is lived through imagery, lived through a dream so vivid that it becomes memory before it ever becomes reality. That is the magic of the cosmic owl. He does not tell, he shows. And in that showing, destiny becomes unshakable. Take, for example, the way Finn's sense of control unravels after seeing the owl in a dream. Waking life for Finn is about agency, fighting monsters, choosing quests, deciding who to protect. But the owl's appearance undermines that sense of control. Suddenly, Finn is confronted with the knowledge that certain outcomes are not his to alter. No matter how bravely he fights, the prophecy will unfold. This tension forces Finn into a new relationship with destiny, one where courage is not about avoiding fate, but about facing it. In many ways, the owl teaches the same lesson to us as viewers. We may laugh at his everyday quirks, but when he takes flight into the dreamscape, he reminds us that life, too, has its inevitabilities. There are moments in our own lives that feel dreamlike, moments we cannot change no matter how we try. Adventure Time uses the cosmic owl to mirror that truth, placing it in a form both surreal and comforting. The owl's presence also ties into one of the show's most profound motifs, the idea that knowledge can be both a gift and a burden. To dream of the cosmic owl is to gain knowledge of the future. But that knowledge is not always helpful. Sometimes it creates fear, leading the dreamer to act out of desperation. Sometimes it is misunderstood, bringing about the very outcome the dreamer hoped to avoid. And sometimes the knowledge simply sits like a stone in the heart, heavy but impossible to put down. The owl, in this way, embodies the bittersweet nature of wisdom. The show even plays with this theme by showing the owl outside of his cosmic role. In his private moments, we see him longing for meaning, wondering about his place in the universe. It is a subtle reminder that even those who deliver fate are not always sure of their own. Prophecy is certain, but the prophet is not. This contrast deepens the owl, making him more than just a symbol. He is a being caught in the same search for purpose that defines so many of Oo's inhabitants. When we look closely, we see that the owl's prophecies are not about control at all. They are about acceptance. Dreams marked by his wings do not give characters a way to avoid destiny. They give them a chance to prepare, to grow, to step into what is coming with awareness rather than surprise. For Finn, this is a powerful lesson. He learns that being a hero is not about rewriting fate, but about meeting it with open eyes. This lesson connects beautifully to one of Adventure Time's deepest undercurrents, the cycle of life and death. Dreams of the cosmic owl often brush against mortality, reminding us that endings are as much a part of the story as beginnings. For a boy like Finn, who longs for adventure without consequence, this truth is hard to face. Yet through his dreams, he comes to understand that even death carries meaning, and that his life is part of a pattern much larger than himself. The owl, silent and steady, guides him towards this understanding. And it is not only Finn who learns from these visions. Other characters, too, must grapple with the owl's prophecies. Jake, Marceline, even figures like the Ice King, all are touched by the dream realm, all reminded that their choices ripple within the current of fate. This universality makes the owl's presence feel essential to the very fabric of Oo. He is not only a messenger for Finn, he is a messenger for all, carrying truths that cannot be denied. The brilliance of Adventure Time is that it never strips these moments of their mystery. The owl is explained just enough to anchor his role, but never so much that he loses his wonder. We are never told exactly where he comes from, never given a clear map of his powers. He remains elusive, hovering on the edge of comprehension. In this way, he stays true to the essence of dreams themselves, glimpsed, felt, remembered, but never fully understood. His appearances also shape the rhythm of the show. Episodes that feature him often slow down, adopting a tone of quiet unease. The humor softens, the colors shift, and the narrative leans into stillness. These tonal choices remind us that dreams are not interruptions to the story. They are the story, moving at a gentler pace, unfolding in a language of symbols instead of dialogue. And at the center of it all, the cosmic owl watches, unblinking, carrying fate on his wings. What makes the cosmic owl so haunting is not only what he represents, but how he makes characters feel after he leaves. Finn, for example, often wakes with a sense of weight pressing on his chest. The dream itself may fade in clarity, as dreams often do, but the feeling remains. a quiet heaviness, a knowing that something important has been set into motion. This emotional echo is part of the owl's power. He is not simply a symbol in the dream. He lingers in the waking world, a reminder that the threads of fate follow the dreamer wherever they go. The owl's influence is perhaps most profound because it is subtle. He does not alter events directly. He does not fight, nor command, nor intervene. His power lies in observation. He sees what is woven, and by being present in a dream, he allows the dreamer to glimpse it too. That is all. And yet, that glimpse changes everything. Knowledge, once received, cannot be returned. The dreamer wakes, knowing that life will move in a particular direction, even if they do not yet see the path clearly. This is the quiet strength of prophecy, not to force, but to reveal. The duality of the cosmic owl, silly in his private life, solemn in dreams, reflects one of Adventure Time's deepest truths. Meaning and absurdity coexist. The universe can be ridiculous, filled with candy people and singing vampires, and at the same time profound, shaped by destiny and prophecy. The owl is the bridge between these two tones. In his home, he snacks and yawns like anyone else. In dreams, he is an oracle of inevitability. To hold both identities at once is to embody the heart of Adventure Time itself. In the lore of Ood, dreams marked by the cosmic owl are always fulfilled. This certainty raises questions about free will. Do characters truly have choice, or are they walking paths already written? The show never gives a simple answer. Instead, it lets the tension remain. Finn can choose how he faces what comes, but he cannot change that it will come. This balance between fate and freedom is central to the story. The owl does not erase choice. He frames it. He shows that while the destination may be fixed, the way one travels toward it is still their own. This is why Finn's encounters with the owl are so formative. They teach him not to run from prophecy, but to live with it. To accept that he cannot control every outcome, yet still has the power to decide how he will respond. That lesson is not easy. At times it fills him with fear. At times it feels unfair. But slowly, he learns that courage is not about defeating destiny. Courage is about walking into it with open eyes. There is something deeply soothing in this idea. It reminds us that dreams, too, are not meant to control us. They are meant to guide us, to give us glimpses of truth we might not otherwise see. We may wake uncertain of their meaning, but even that uncertainty can shape us, making us more attentive, more thoughtful, more aware of the threads weaving through our own lives. The cosmic owl, with his silent wings, is the perfect symbol of this. He does not speak, but his presence reminds us to listen more carefully. The owl also ties into the show's exploration of death and legacy. Many of his appearances touch on mortality, reminding us that even in a world of magic and adventure, endings are inevitable. But the owl does not frame death as cruelty. He frames it as part of the pattern. For Finn, seeing the owl in a dream linked to his own death is frightening. Yet it also teaches him that life's value is in how it is lived, not in how it ends. The prophecy may be fixed, but the meaning of the journey is his to shape. This balance between fear and acceptance is what makes the owl so powerful as a narrative device. He is not simply a harbinger of doom. He is a reminder of continuity, of the way all lives, all stories, fold into the greater rhythm of existence. In this sense, he is less a judge and more a witness, a watcher who ensures that nothing goes unseen, that every moment carries its place in the grand design. As we step back and reflect, we can see that the cosmic owl is not only a character, but a philosophy. He embodies the truth that destiny is real, but it is not cruel. That the universe is mysterious, but it is not empty. That dreams may confuse us, but they are never meaningless. His presence in Adventure Time takes the whimsical world of ooh and anchors it in something deeper, something eternal. And so when we think of dreams in ooh, we cannot separate them from the owl. He is the quiet constant, the figure who reminds us that sleep is not only for rest, it is also for revelation. Through him, the dreamscape becomes not just a mirror of the subconscious, but a doorway into the heart of fate itself. Dreams in Adventure Time are never empty. Each one is filled with imagery that seems whimsical at first glance, but on closer reflection reveals deeper meaning. The show does not waste symbols. A sword, a crown, a flame. These are not just props drifting through the subconscious. They are archetypes, timeless patterns that echo across characters and storylines. By planting them in dreams, Adventure Time taps into something older than ooh itself, something that resonates with us as viewers because we recognize these shapes in our own stories and imaginations. Let us begin with the sword. For Finn, the sword is more than a weapon. It is an extension of his identity, the clearest symbol of his role as hero. In dreams, the sword often appears distorted, sometimes glowing, sometimes breaking, sometimes merging with his own body. These variations reveal his shifting relationship with destiny. A glowing sword might reflect hope and clarity. A broken blade may show doubt, the fear that he is not enough. The grass sword, in particular, takes on dreamlike qualities, wrapping itself around him like a living thing, a reminder that power is both a gift and a curse. In this way, the sword becomes more than metal. It becomes a symbol of the burden he carries, a weight tied to both his choices and his fate. Crowns are another recurring image in Ooh's Dreamscapes. To wear a crown in waking life often means power, responsibility, or control. But in dreams, the crown takes on an even heavier meaning. For the Ice King, the crown is not just an object. It is the source of his tragedy. In his subconscious and in visions tied to his past, the crown is a chain, binding him to madness while still echoing the memory of Simon Petrikov. The weight of the crown is both literal and symbolic. It represents how power can corrupt, how the things we cling to for strength may slowly erase who we once were. To dream of a crown in Ooh is to dream of sacrifice, of identity lost in the pursuit of control. Fire, too, is a potent archetype in the dream realm. When Flame Princess burns brightly in visions, the fire is not only destructive, it is transformative. Fire in dreams often carries the dual meaning of creation and destruction. It consumes, but it also clears the ground for renewal. For Finn, who loves and struggles with Flame Princess, dreams of fire symbolize the burning intensity of young love, but also the fear of being consumed by it. Fire in Ooh's Dreamscapes speaks to passion, anger, and rebirth, reminding us that some forces cannot be tamed without being diminished. Water, on the other hand, often flows into dream imagery as a mirror of the subconscious itself. Rivers, lakes, and oceans in Ooh's dreams suggest depth, hidden layers, and emotional truth. For Marceline, whose past is so deeply tied to loneliness and memory, water often reflects the ebb and flow of feeling. It may appear still, like a memory held close, or stormy, like a grief she cannot contain. In these dream symbols, we see her heart laid bare even when she hides it in waking life. The sky is another key archetype, often shifting in dreams to reflect cosmic truth. When Finn dreams of comets or stars falling, the sky becomes a stage for prophecy. It tells him that he is connected not only to but to the universe itself. The falling star is not just a visual, it is a symbol of cycles, of endings and beginnings, of destiny arriving from beyond. In these moments, the sky acts as both backdrop and message, reminding us that dreams in stretch far beyond the personal. They touch on the cosmic, threading individual lives into the fabric of eternity. Adventure Time also used animals as symbols within dreams. The bear, the wolf, the owl, each carries archetypal meaning. The bear often symbolizes strength, but also the chaos of untamed instinct. A wolf may appear as a guide or as a threat, depending on the dreamer's state of mind. And the cosmic owl, of course, is the clearest example of an animal transformed into pure prophecy. By using these creatures, the show taps into ancient symbolic language, the same language humans have used in myths and stories for centuries. What makes these dream archetypes so effective is how naturally they blend with the character's emotional truths. When Finn dreams of a sword breaking, it is not random. It is his subconscious, voicing his doubts. When Marceline dreams of shadowy figures, they are her past regrets taking shape. When the Ice King dreams of the crown, it is Simon himself reaching through layers of madness. Each image carries meaning both for the story and for the soul of the character. The dreamscape, in this way, becomes a theater of symbols, where the hidden is revealed through archetypal forms. As viewers, we may not always recognize these meanings right away, but the imagery lingers, tugging at us the way our own dreams do. We might not know exactly why a broken sword unsettles us, or why a crown glowing cold feels heavy, but we sense the truth beneath it. Adventure Time trusts us to feel these symbols, to let them resonate without explanation. That trust makes the dream sequences powerful, because they echo the way real dreams work. Mysterious, symbolic, and deeply personal, even when we cannot put them into words. Symbols in Adventure Time's dreams do not exist in isolation. They weave together, forming patterns that reflect larger truths about itself. When we step back and look across the dream sequences, we begin to notice that the same archetypes echo again and again, reshaping themselves to fit the dreamer. This repetition tells us that the dreamscape is not random. It is a shared language, spoken through imagery that connects all who wander its paths. Take the image of doors. Doors appear in several dreams throughout the series, sometimes creaking open to reveal a new landscape, other times slamming shut to bar entry. They symbolize thresholds, transitions, the movement from one stage of life to another. For Finn, a door opening in a dream often signals growth, a step into the unknown. For Marceline, a closed door may echo the losses she has suffered, the relationships that remain locked in memory. The archetype of the door is universal, yet personal. It speaks differently to each character while reminding us of the same underlying truth. Every dream carries the possibility of change. Keys often accompany these doors. Sometimes literal, sometimes metaphorical, they symbolize the power to unlock hidden truths. When Finn glimpses a key in a dream, it hints that knowledge is within reach, even if he has not yet grasped it. For other dreamers, the key may represent freedom or the chance to unseal a past they have buried. Keys remind us that dreams are not only about showing us what is, but also about offering access to what might be uncovered. Mirrors are another striking archetype. In mirrors in dreams often distort. reflecting versions of characters that are familiar yet unsettling. For Finn, seeing his own face warped in a dream speaks to his uncertainty about identity. Is he only a boy with a sword, or is he something larger, tied to destiny and comet alike? Marceline's dreams may show her reflection, flickering between her vampire self and her younger human self, reminding her of the duality she carries. The mirror archetype exposes what lies beneath the surface, showing dreamers, and us, the multiplicity of the self. Light and shadow also play a crucial role. Many dream sequences are bathed in unusual lighting, a green glow, a crimson dusk, a violet shimmer. These colors are not accidental. They heighten the symbolism, shaping the meaning of the dream. A green glow around the grass sword signals corruption mixed with vitality. A red-tinted horizon suggests passion, conflict, or danger. Violet light often accompanies moments of cosmic revelation, tying the dreamer to mysteries beyond ooh. The use of light and shadow in dreams reminds us that even the tone of a vision carries symbolic weight, communicating meaning without words. Time itself is a recurring motif. In some dreams, clocks tick too quickly or too slowly. In others, characters find themselves frozen in moments that never end. Time in the dreamscape reflects the way memory and prophecy coexist. For Marceline, who has lived 1,000 years, dreams that warp time speak to her fractured sense of history, days and centuries blending into one. For Finn, time's distortion reflects the rapid pace of his growth, the way childhood and adulthood blur as he faces challenges beyond his years. These temporal symbols remind us that dreams are not bound by the same flow as waking life. They stretch and fold time, revealing how past, present, and future bleed together. Even food, so central to Adventure Time's humor, takes on symbolic power in dreams. A pie may appear as comfort, reminding the dreamer of home. A melting candy treat may symbolize fleeting joy, sweetness that cannot last. For the Ice King, food in dreams often appears twisted or rotten, reflecting the way his madness distorts even life's simplest pleasures. Though playful on the surface, these images carry emotional truth, linking nourishment with longing, satisfaction with impermanence. At the heart of all these archetypes lies the idea of transformation. Dreams are always shifting, reshaping familiar symbols into new forms. A sword may become a tree, a crown may dissolve into water, fire may turn into light. These transformations are not random. They reflect the inner changes of the dreamer, the growth or struggle happening beneath their awareness. In ooh, where transformation is constant, kingdoms rise and fall, magic changes form, dreams become a mirror of the world itself. They remind us that nothing stays still, and that change is both unsettling and necessary. As viewers, part of the wonder is noticing these symbols and feeling their resonance, even if we cannot always explain why. Adventure Time invites us to experience dreams the way we do in our own lives, not as puzzles to solve, but as emotional truths to carry. A crown may not mean the same thing to every dreamer, but the feeling it evokes, the heaviness, the responsibility, the loss, is universal. By trusting symbols to speak directly to the heart, the series gives its dream sequences a timeless quality, one that stays with us long after the episode ends. One of the most powerful dream symbols in Adventure Time is the concept of falling. Again and again, characters experience falling in their sleep, whether from a tower, through a clouded sky, or into endless water. Falling is one of the most common archetypes across human dreams, and in ooh it carries the same layered meaning. For Finn, falling reflects his fear of losing control, of failing the ones who depend on him. For Marceline, falling may tie to her deep loneliness, the sensation of slipping through time without anyone to catch her. Falling dreams remind us that even in a world of heroes and magic, every character faces the same vulnerability, the fear of not being held. Rising, too, carries symbolic weight. When a character lifts off the ground, soaring through dream skies, the image often reflects empowerment, freedom, or transcendence. For Finn, moments of flying in dreams mirror his heroic aspirations, the wish to rise above limitations. For other characters, such as the Ice King, rising may take on a tragic tone, ascending not in triumph but in delusion, carried upward by the crown's false promises. Through both falling and rising, the dreamscape reflects the delicate balance between hope and despair. The motif of masks also threads through Oo's dreams. A mask in a vision often symbolizes the parts of a character they hide from the world. For Princess Bubblegum, a dream mask may reflect her tendency to suppress emotion behind reason, hiding her vulnerability beneath intellect. For Finn, a mask might symbolize the difference between who he feels he should be, the bold hero, and who he really is, a boy still learning, still stumbling. In the dreamscape, masks slip or shatter, exposing truths characters would rather keep hidden. Another recurring archetype is that of the child. Characters often dream of themselves as younger versions, or of children who represent innocence lost. Marceline's dream fragments of her own childhood, for example, carry immense symbolic weight. They remind us that no matter how powerful she has become, she is still shaped by the girl who wandered a ruined world with Simon at her side. Finn, too, sometimes dreams of younger versions of himself, reflecting his struggle to hold on to purity while being pulled into maturity. In dreams, the child archetype whispers of beginnings, of origins that continue to influence the present. Animals beyond the cosmic owl also hold deep symbolic resonance. Wolves may stalk the dreamscape as embodiments of fear, loyalty, or primal instinct. Cats sometimes appear as tricksters, sly and enigmatic, hinting that not all is as it seems. Even snakes and insects, when they creep into visions, remind dreamers of danger, of transformation, of persistence. These creatures tie Oo's dream language to the broader symbolic vocabulary of human culture, where animals have always carried meaning beyond their physical forms. Music appears as another dream motif, particularly for Marceline. In her dreams, songs sometimes drift without words, echoing the feelings she struggles to express in waking life. Music in the dreamscape symbolizes memory and emotional truth. A melody may bring comfort, or it may break the dreamer's heart, reminding them of what has been lost. Marceline's connection to music is so strong that her dreams sometimes blur into songs, even in waking reality, showing that her subconscious is always close to the surface. Even silence has symbolic weight. In some dream sequences, sound fades completely, leaving only still images. Silence in dreams is rarely peaceful. It often suggests absence, something missing, a truth that cannot yet be spoken. For Finn, silent dreams reflect the confusion of facing mysteries too vast to comprehend. For the Ice King, silence may echo his fractured memory, gaps where Simon once was. In this way, even the absence of sound becomes a meaningful presence in Oo's dreamscapes. Archetypes of cycles appear frequently as well. Circles, spirals, and repeating patterns weave through dream imagery, reminding characters of the eternal nature of change. The comet itself is a cyclical symbol, returning across ages. For Finn to dream of it is to dream of the universe's rhythm, a reminder that his life is part of something far larger. Spirals in dreams reflect growth. The way journeys are rarely linear but circle back, each loop deeper than the last. These images remind both characters and viewers that destiny is not a straight line but a cycle of renewal. Taken together, these symbols show how Adventure Time uses dream imagery not as random surrealism, but as a carefully crafted language. Every sword, every crown, every flame or shadow carries meaning. By watching closely, we can piece together the deeper currents running beneath the story. The dreamscape is not a chaotic mess of images. It is a stage where archetypes dance, each step reflecting something true about the dreamer and about Oo itself. And just as important as the symbols themselves is the way characters respond to them. Finn wakes from dreams of swords and crowns feeling uneasy, unsure what they mean but knowing they matter. Marceline wakes from dreams of children or music with emotions stir, memories resurfaced. The Ice King wakes with fragments of Simon still echoing faintly, reminders of who he once was. These responses are as meaningful as the images. They show how dreams shape not only prophecy, but personality, nudging each character gently toward growth or revelation. Symbols in Adventure Time's dreams do not simply decorate the subconscious. They act as guides, pointing the dreamer toward truths that may not yet be ready to surface in waking life. They carry with them a wisdom older than the characters themselves, archetypes that have appeared in myths and stories across countless cultures. In Oo, these timeless images are given new color, shaped by the strangeness of a post-apocalyptic world, yet they remain recognizable because they speak directly to the heart. Consider the way forests appear in dreams. Sometimes bright and inviting, other times dark and endless, they represent the unknown paths of the future. For Finn, wandering a dream forest is often about choice, the uncertainty of which direction to take. For Marceline, forests may reflect memory, the winding trails of her past stretching into shadows. A dream forest whispers of mystery, of the journey still unfolding, reminding us that life itself is a walk through trees whose paths we cannot always see. Mountains, too, rise in Oo's dreamscapes, embodying challenge and endurance. A dream of climbing reflects determination, the struggle to reach higher understanding. For Finn, standing at the base of a mountain in a dream often mirrors the obstacles he faces in waking life, quests that tests not only his strengths, but his patience. Mountains remind us that growth is often slow, requiring effort step by step. They are symbols of trial, but also of perspective, for the summit always offers a wider view. Dreams of houses and rooms carry their own resonance. A home appearing in a vision may symbolize safety, memory, or identity. Yet when a house is crumbling or empty, it may reflect the dreamer's insecurity, a feeling of instability in their own sense of self. For Bubblegum, whose kingdom is itself a kind of constructed home, dreams of rooms collapsing might hint at the fragility of the system she builds. For Finn, a house may reflect his longing for family, for roots he has never truly known. In dreams, architecture becomes emotion made visible. Even the simplest objects carry symbolic weight. A candle flickering in a dream may symbolize hope, or the fleeting nature of time. A clock, as mentioned earlier, bends the meaning of time itself. A path winding endlessly suggests struggle or patience. These small details matter because Adventure Time treats the subconscious with care, showing us that nothing in a dream is random. Every image is part of the story being told beneath the surface. The interplay between personal and universal symbolism is what makes Oo's dreamscapes so compelling. When Finn sees a broken sword, We understand it both as his personal fear of failure and as the universal symbol of broken courage. When Marceline dreams of a song echoing across empty halls, we see her own loneliness. But we also feel the archetype of music as memory, music as soul. Adventure Time lets these two levels overlap, creating visions that resonate beyond the screen. As viewers, we are invited to interpret these symbols in our own way. Just as Finn puzzles over his visions, we too are left to wonder. What does the crown mean beyond Simon's tragedy? What does fire mean beyond Flame Princess's passion? By leaving space for interpretation, the series mirrors our own experience of dreaming. We wake with fragments, with symbols that may never fully explain themselves, but which still change us. This open-endedness is not a weakness. It is the strength of Adventure Time's dream lore. By refusing to pin down every meaning, the show preserves the mystery of the subconscious. It acknowledges that dreams are not puzzles to be solved once, but companions that stay with us, offering new insights each time we reflect on them. A broken sword may mean one thing to Finn in his youth, and something entirely different to him as an adult. The symbol does not change, but its meaning grows with him. Symbols also reveal how interconnected the characters are. When different dreamers see similar images, swords, crowns, comets, it suggests that their fates are bound together. The Dreamscape speaks a shared language, one that transcends individual stories. It reminds us that no one in Oo is isolated. Every choice, every destiny, every dream is part of the same tapestry. In the end, the dream archetypes of Adventure Time remind us of why dreams matter at all. They are not distractions from waking life. They are reflections, guides, and sometimes warnings. They show us truths we cannot yet name, truths that reveal themselves slowly, like dawn creeping over the horizon. In Oo, these truths take the form of glowing swords, heavy crowns, endless forests, falling skies. In our own lives, they may take different forms, but the essence is the same. Dreams speak in symbols, and those symbols carry us closer to understanding ourselves. Dreams in Oo are not limited to symbols or reflections. They are also gateways. More than once in Adventure Time, dreams open into spaces that are not confined to the dreamer's own mind. They stretch further, linking to other worlds, other timelines, and other possibilities. In these moments, the Dreamscape ceases to be a private stage and becomes instead a portal, a door through which entire universes brush against one another. The most famous example of this is the farm world arc. What begins as a dream glimpsed by Finn grows into a reality all its own, one that exists alongside Oo rather than within it. In this alternate timeline, the Mushroom War never destroyed the Earth in the same way. The Ice Crown's power shaped the world differently, creating a harsher, bleaker existence. And yet, despite its differences, Farm World feels connected to Finn's life, close enough to reach him in visions, close enough for him to walk its fields in sleep before he ever steps into it awake. When Finn dreams of Farm World, it is not imagination, it is contact. A parallel version of himself exists there, carrying the weight of choices Finn never made. By entering this world in dreams, he experiences the truth of the multiverse. The countless paths stretch outward, each one a life that could have been. These dreams are not symbolic, they are literal. The Dreamscape, in these moments, functions as a bridge across timelines. This is part of what makes Adventure Time's dream lore so profound. Most shows treat dreams as internal, as nothing more than reflections of the dreamer's mind. But in Oo, The subconscious can brush against the fabric of existence itself. It is as though the boundary between thought and reality is thinner in this world, thin enough for dreamers to slip across into other dimensions. Finn's farm world visions show us that sleep can carry us to entirely new universes, even ones where another Finn is living a different life. The implications of this are vast. If dreams can carry one to farm world, what other realms lie only a slumber away? Could Marceline's dreams of her past be more than memory? Could they be connections to alternate versions of herself, younger Marcy still wandering somewhere in the folds of reality? Could the Ice King's dreams of Simon be more than fragments? Could they be glimpses of timelines where the crown was never placed on his head, where Simon Petrikov lived a life untouched by madness? Adventure Time never confirms these possibilities, but the Farm World arc opens the door wide enough for us to wonder. The dream as portal concept also deepens the meaning of symbols. When Finn dreams of the comet, for instance, the vision may not only symbolize destiny, it may be a literal touch point between timelines, the comet being an entity that returns across realities. Dreams of the comet, then, are not just metaphors, but brief crossings, moments where Finn's mind aligns with a cosmic rhythm that spans the multiverse. In this way, even seemingly symbolic dreams carry the possibility of being portals. Adventure Time presents these dream crossings with a softness that makes them feel natural. Finn does not need to chant spells or build machines. He only needs to sleep. The portal opens quietly without spectacle, reminding us that some of the deepest truths are reached not through force, but through surrender. By letting go of control, by closing his eyes, Finn becomes able to touch worlds otherwise beyond his reach. The simplicity of this is what makes it so magical. And these dream portals are not only about exploration, they are also about consequence. When Finn interacts with the farm world in his dreams, his choices ripple across realities. What he does in one version of existence affects another. Dreams, then, are not safe spaces removed from cause and effect. They are woven into the fabric of reality. To act in the dreamscape is to act in the multiverse. This adds a layer of responsibility to dreaming in OO. It is not only about personal reflection or prophecy. It is about connection. Dreamers become participants in a web of realities, their visions touching lives beyond their own. This idea may feel daunting, but it is also comforting. It suggests that none of us are as isolated as we fear. In sleep, our stories may touch others, our worlds may brush together, our lives may echo in countless forms. For Finn, this truth is both awe-inspiring and unsettling. To see another version of himself struggling under different burdens is to realize that his own choices matter more than he ever imagined. Every decision he makes does not only shape his life in OO, it shapes the balance of the multiverse. Dreams, in this way, show him the weight of existence, not as a punishment, but as a reminder of how deeply all lives are connected. When we reflect on the way dreams open these portals, it becomes clear that the dreamscape is not a single, closed chamber, but a vast network of overlapping doors. Some lead inward toward memory and symbol. Others lead outward, toward timelines and worlds beyond. This layered nature of the dream realm is part of what makes it so powerful in Adventure Time. It is not restricted to one function. It can heal, it can warn, and it can transport. The farm world example is only one of many hints that Adventure Time gives us about the dreamscape's power to cross boundaries. Smaller moments also suggest this interconnectedness. Finn's visions of the comet, for example, are not simply personal omens. The comet is a cosmic traveler, a being that threads through multiple eras and realities. To dream of the comet is to touch not only one's own fate, but the larger cycle of existence that repeats across dimensions. In this way, even a single image in a dream can act as a doorway, linking a dreamer to forces far beyond their own lifetime. Another subtle moment comes when Finn dreams of himself in fragmented, distorted forms. These visions may seem abstract, but they echo the idea of multiverse selves, each one a possibility living out its own story. When he dreams of other versions of himself, whether heroic, broken, or entirely alien, he is brushing against alternate timelines. The dream becomes a mirror, not only of who he is, but of who he could be or who he already is somewhere else. These glimpses are not accidental. They are the dreamscape hinting that reality is larger than any one version of Finn can hold. The dreamscape as portal also raises questions about memory itself. When Marceline dreams of her past, are these only recollections, or are they connections to versions of her that still exist? For a being as old as she is, who has lived through the Great War and the slow rebuilding of memory becomes tangled with possibility. In dreams, her childhood may not be entirely gone. It may still be alive in another thread of reality, one she brushes against in sleep. The emotional weight of these visions suggests that dreams may allow her not only to remember, but to visit. For the Ice King, the portal nature of dreams is even more poignant. When Simon Petrikov flickers through his dreams, we are left to wonder if these are only fragments of memory, or if Simon still lives somewhere in the folds of the multiverse, untouched by the crown's curse. If so, then the dreams are not simply inner echoes. They are windows into another possibility, one where Simon survived whole. The tragedy of the Ice King's visions lies in this uncertainty. He does not understand what he is seeing, but we as viewers can feel the possibility that his dreams are more than shadows. Dreams as portals also expand the role of the cosmic owl. If the owl's presence guarantees prophecy, then his wings may also be ferrying dreamers across realities. Perhaps the owl's not only a herald of destiny, but a guardian of the multiverse pathways that open in sleep. His silence, his calm watchfulness, may come from seeing not just one timeline, but all of them, folded together like pages in a book. When he appears, the dreamer may be standing not only in their own subconscious, but in the very crossroads of reality. This portal aspect of dreams also explains why certain visions in Adventure Time feel so tangible. They do not carry the haziness of typical dreams. Instead, they feel solid, lived, undeniable. Farm World is the clearest example, but there are others. Finn's comet dream has this solidity. So do Marceline's childhood echoes, where the emotions are too sharp, too immediate to be only memory. These moments suggest that the dreamscape sometimes opens fully, allowing the dreamer to step into a place as real as waking life. The idea of dreams as portals also resonates with the post-apocalyptic nature of This is a world built on ruins, on echoes of the past, and possibilities of the future. It makes sense that its dream realm would mirror this, offering connections across timelines rather than isolating dreamers in their own minds. The dreamscape reflects itself, fractured, layered, full of hidden doors. By walking through these doors in dreams, characters reveal the truth of their world, that it is not a single line, but a branching, infinite tree of realities. And for Finn, who carries the burden of being human in a land where humanity has nearly vanished, these dream portals remind him that he is never truly alone. There are other versions of him, other lives being lived, other choices unfolding. Though this knowledge is heavy, it is also comforting. It tells him that his story matters, but it is not the only one. He belongs not only to Oo, but to the endless multiverse that whispers through the dreamscape. The way Adventure Time treats dream portals is subtle, almost understated. There is no grand announcement when Finn slips into Farm World or glimpses an alternate version of himself. The transition is quiet, natural, as though the multiverse itself rests just a breath away. This gentleness is part of what makes the idea so enchanting. It suggests that reality is not locked or distant, but fragile, porous, waiting for the dreamer to drift across. Finn's multiverse dreams also teach us something about empathy. By living, even briefly, in another Finn's shoes, he learns the value of perspective. Farm World Finn is harder, colder, shaped by loss. His struggles reveal what Finn himself might have become under different circumstances. These dream journeys remind him that identity is not fixed. Who we are is shaped by choices, by environment, by the fragile balance of chance. Dreams as portals, then, are not only about cosmic exploration. They are about compassion, about seeing ourselves and others across realities. Marceline's dreams deepen this theme. Her dream portals often feel like visits to places frozen in memory, yet tinged with the uncanny vividness of alternate possibility. She may find herself walking again with Simon, the man he was before the crown. She may see herself as a child, but in a version of the past that feels slightly different, as though drawn from another thread of time. These dreams ache with nostalgia, but also with mystery. Are they memories revisited, or glimpses of other timelines where things unfolded differently? The ambiguity is never resolved, but the feeling lingers. Marceline's dreams may be carrying her across the multiverse, stitching together versions of herself that still exist somewhere out there. The Ice King's experiences push this idea even further. His dreams of Simon feel less like fading memories and more like transmissions from another world. They are too sharp, too alive, to be dismissed as fragments of a broken mind. It is as if his subconscious is reaching across dimensions, grasping at the Simon who still lives in another reality. These visions make his tragedy even more poignant. He is haunted not only by who he was, but by who he still might be, somewhere in the endless branching of existence. Dreams become his only connection to that lost self, portals that give him glimpses he cannot hold. Jake's dreams also offer a playful angle on this portal concept. His shape-shifting nature allows him to embody the flexibility of reality itself. In dreams, this expands even further. He may find himself stretching across entire worlds, or drifting into bizarre realities where rules bend in impossible ways. For Jake, dream portals are less about prophecy and more about exploration. They remind us that not every crossing needs to be heavy with fate. Some are simply windows into the joy of possibility, the infinite creativity of the multiverse. The Dreamscape's role as a portal also explains why dreams in Oo feel so woven into the story's structure. They are not side adventures or filler moments. They are active threads, binding timelines together. When Finn sees Farm World or dreams of the comet, those visions are not isolated. They ripple into waking life, shaping choices and outcomes. The portal is never closed once opened. Once a dream connects a character to another reality, the connection remains, a quiet bridge between worlds. What is striking is how seamlessly Adventure Time blends this with the everyday tone of the show. A dream may begin with something silly, a dancing animal, a nonsensical landscape, and then without warning it unfolds into a portal, pulling the dreamer into another life. This mixture of whimsy and depth reflects the very heart of the series. Ooh is playful, but it is also profound. Its dreams are the same, childlike on the surface, cosmic at their core. As viewers, these dream portals encourage us to think about our own dreams. Have we ever woken from a vision so vivid that it felt like more than imagination? Have we ever wondered if in sleep we touch places that truly exist somewhere, if only for a moment? Adventure Time suggests that this may not be far from the truth. In Ooh, dreams are doorways, and through them, every life is connected to countless others. Finn's journey makes this lesson personal. His dream crossings teach him that while his story is unique, it is also shared. There are other versions of him, other lives being lived, and yet they all belong to the same great web of existence. This realization humbles him. It shows him that he is not the center of the universe, but one of many shining threads woven into it. And yet, this does not diminish his value. It strengthens it. For if all lives are connected, then every choice matters, not only for oneself, but for all realities. This is the quiet power of dreams as portals. They remind us that the world is larger than we can see, that our stories echo beyond the limits of waking life. And while this truth can be daunting, it is also profoundly comforting. It means that no dreamer is truly alone. Dreams as portals also reveal something about the very nature of Ooh. This land is not built on firm foundations. It is stitched together from the ruins of the old world, from the magic of new kingdoms, and from the fragile balance of time itself. The Mushroom War fractured reality, and in that fracture, space is open. Dreams slip easily through these spaces, moving between past, present, and possibility. The dreamscape, in this way, becomes not only a reflection of Ooh's characters, but of Ooh itself, a realm born from brokenness, where boundaries are thin and everything touches. One of the most striking lessons that emerges from this is the idea that destiny is not limited to one world. A choice made in Ooh echoes in Farm World. A prophecy fulfilled in one dimension ripples into others. By letting dreams serve as bridges, Adventure Time quietly shows us that no reality is entirely separate. They are all linked, fragile and luminous, like beads strung together on the same thread. This interconnectedness is both beautiful and unsettling. For Finn, it means that his struggles are shared across countless versions of himself. He is not alone, but he is also never free of consequence. What he learns in one world carries meaning in another. For Marceline, the multiverse Dreamscape suggests that her grief and her joy stretch wider than she ever imagined, that her life resonates in infinite variations, each one carrying its own melody. For the Ice King, dreams as portals mean that Simon is never entirely gone, that somewhere he still breathes, still laughs, still lives. These truths comfort and ache at once. The dreamscape also teaches that crossing into other realities is not about control. Finn does not decide when he will see Farm World. Marceline does not choose which childhood vision will surface. The portals open on their own, quietly, without permission. This lack of control reminds us that the multiverse is not something to be mastered. It is something to be glimpsed, to be honored. The dreamer is not the architect. They are the traveler, carried gently across boundaries by currents they cannot command. And yet, within this lack of control lies a lesson in humility. The dreamer learns that life is not about bending reality to their will, but about living with awareness of the larger whole. To dream of another world is to be reminded that your story is part of something greater. To feel the weight of infinite timelines is to see your own path in perspective. Finn, through his dreams, begins to understand this. He realizes that being a hero is not about saving a single kingdom. It is about honoring the interconnectedness of all things. The portal-like quality of dreams also reflects one of Adventure Time's most comforting messages, that nothing is ever truly lost. A person may pass away, a choice may be made, a timeline may branch into something we can no longer reach. But in dreams, doors open again. We may not step through fully, but we may glimpse, we may feel, we may remember. Dreams allow characters to touch what waking life denies them. They offer reunions with the past, encounters with what might have been, connections to selves they thought were gone. This gentle reassurance that loss is never absolute makes the dreamscape a place of both sorrow and solace. It is also worth noting that Adventure Time never portrays these dream portals as sinister. They can be strange, unsettling, even heavy with fate, but they are never malevolent. The dreamscape does not trick the dreamer. It shows, it connects, it reminds. Its role is not to confuse, but to reveal, even if the meaning is not clear right away. This kindness is important. It means that the dreamscape, though vast and mysterious, is ultimately a friend. It is not something to fear, but something to trust, a realm that opens doors not to trap, but to teach. As viewers, this aspect of the dream lore encourages us to see our own dreams differently. Perhaps the vivid images we carry upon waking are not only the workings of the mind, perhaps they are connections, faint echoes of lives we are not living, but which still exist somewhere. Perhaps when we dream of people we miss, or places we have never been, we are brushing against the edges of another reality, one close enough to touch in sleep. Adventure Time never insists on this interpretation, but it leaves the possibility open, inviting us to wonder. By the time Finn and the others fully accept the role of dreams in their lives, the idea of portals feels natural. They no longer question whether a dream is real or symbolic. They understand it can be both. A dream can reflect the heart and at the same time carry them into another world. The boundaries dissolve, leaving only the truth that reality itself is layered, and that dreams are one of the ways we move between those layers. As we come to the final part of our journey, we begin to see how all the threads of dream lore in Adventure Time weave together into one truth. Dreams do not only reflect or connect, they shape. In U, the dreamscape carries the quiet power to bind destiny itself. What is seen in sleep does not simply vanish when morning comes. It echoes forward, tugging on choices, guiding footsteps, and whispering the shape of what is to come. The cosmic owl embodies this most directly. Whenever he appears, the dreamer knows that the vision will unfold in waking life. Yet even without him, dreams in U often act as soft prophecies, weaving themselves into the fabric of fate. Finn's dreams of the grass sword were not optional glimpses. They were inevitabilities preparing him for a bond that could not be escaped. Marceline's memories, surfacing in dream form, were not only reflections of grief, they were reminders that her story would always circle back to her past. The Ice King's dreams of Simon were not only echoes, they were reminders that his true self could never be erased. Each dream carried weight, nudging characters toward paths they were destined to walk. What makes this fate-binding quality so fascinating is that it is not forceful. Destiny in Ooh does not drag characters along like a chain. Instead, it appears in dreams like a lantern glowing in the distance. It shows what lies ahead, but it does not dictate how the dreamer will meet it. This balance between prophecy and free will is one of the most delicate aspects of Adventure Time's dream lore. The dream may tell you that something will happen, but it never tells you how to face it. That part remains yours. For Finn, this truth becomes clear over time. At first, he resists his dream prophecies. He wakes unsettled, convinced that he can outfight or outthink what he has seen. But as he matures, he learns that the visions are not threats. They are guides. When he dreams of his death and sees the cosmic owl, he learns to stop thinking of the dream as a trap. Instead, he sees it as a reminder of mortality, a lesson in living fully before the end. Dreams bind his fate, but they also deepen his understanding of life. For Marceline, fate in dreams is less about prophecy and more about memory's hold. Her dreams return her again and again to moments she cannot release. These memories shape her choices in waking life, guiding her relationships, her music, and her sense of self. Dreams bind her not to an external prophecy, but to her own history. She cannot step forward without carrying what came before. The fate her dreams reveal is not fixed by cosmic forces. It is fixed by the truth of her own heart. The Ice King's fate-binding dreams are perhaps the most tragic. Simon's voice, echoing through visions, reminds us that no matter how lost he becomes, the man he was still exists somewhere deep inside. These dreams do not free him from the crown, but they do tether him to his true self, ensuring that Simon is never fully erased. In this way, the dreams both bind and preserve him. They carry the fate of a man who cannot escape his curse, but who also cannot lose his essence. Princess Bubblegum, too, is shaped by dream-bound fate. Her visions of order unraveling remind her of the fragility of her kingdom, pushing her to cling tighter to control in waking life. Dreams show her what she fears most, collapse, and that fear binds her choices, guiding her into the role of ruler with even greater determination. Her fate is shaped not only by her intellect, but by the subconscious warning she receives each night. This is what makes the Dreamscape so central to Ooh. It is not simply a place of symbols or portals. It is the loom on which destiny is woven. Each dream thread binds itself into the story, ensuring that waking choices cannot drift far from what has been revealed. And yet this binding is never cruel. It is gentle, like gravity, inevitable, but not punishing. Dreams in Adventure Time do not steal freedom. They frame it. They give characters a glimpse of what is written, then leave them to choose how to meet it. For us as viewers, this offers a reflection of our own lives. We may not dream of comets or crowns, but we do wake with images that shape our days. A dream may nudge us toward caution, or remind us of someone we love, or plant a thought that lingers. In this sense, our dreams too bind us, not through prophecy, but through influence. They become part of how we live, part of how we walk into our own fates. The fate-binding power of dreams in Ooh is perhaps best summarized by the way the characters learn to listen. At first, they resist, dismiss, or misunderstand. But slowly, they begin to accept that the dreamscape is not random. It is a voice, a guide, a current flowing beneath their lives. By learning to trust it, not blindly, but with a curiosity, they learn to live with destiny, not against it. Fate in Adventure Time is never portrayed as a rigid script, but as a gentle current. The dreams of Ooh do not dictate every step. Instead, they lay down a path of inevitability that can be walked in many ways. This is what makes the dreamscape so profound. It binds without suffocating. A prophecy may foretell an ending, but the way that ending is reached, the choices, the emotions, the relationships along the way, remain fluid. The dream binds the destination, but not the journey. Finn embodies this lesson most clearly. His dream of death, marked by the cosmic owl, was one of the heaviest moments in his story. Yet rather than collapsing under its weight, Finn slowly learns to carry it. The dream does not stop him from living, it deepens his living. Knowing that his life is finite makes his choices matter more. He still fights, still loves, still laughs, but with a new awareness of fragility. The dream's power lies not in trapping him, but in guiding him to wisdom. Jake, though less central to dream prophecy, also feels the binding touch of the subconscious. His laid-back nature often hides the truth that he too faces inevitabilities. In his rare prophetic dreams, Jake is reminded that even with his shape-shifting, even with all his freedom, time will one day fold in on him. His response to this truth is not fear, but gentleness. Dreams bind him, not to dread, but to gratitude. They remind him to savor the present, to stretch and relax and live fully in the now. Marceline's fate-binding dreams differ again. Where Finn and Jake receive flashes of what lies ahead, Marceline is anchored by the pull of what came before. Her memories return night after night, binding her to the events that shaped her across centuries. The child she once was, the father who disappointed her, the friend who saved her, the music that became her voice, all of these reappear in dreams, ensuring that she can never truly leave them behind. This is not punishment. It is continuity. Dreams bind her fate, not by pointing to the future, but by reminding her of the roots she must carry forward. Princess Bubblegum's dreams are more abstract, but equally binding. When her subconscious reveals images of crumbling structures or broken systems, these visions echo her deepest fear, the loss of control. In waking life, she responds by tightening her grasp, reinforcing her kingdom, planning for every contingency. Dreams bind her not through prophecy of specific events, but by shaping her psychology, driving her to act in ways that alter the course of Oo's history. Her dream-born fate is one of vigilance, a destiny woven by the tension between her intellect and her fear. The Ice King's fate-binding dreams are perhaps the most heartbreaking. Simon Petrikov's voice, surfacing in fragments, keeps him tethered to the truth of who he once was. These visions bind him to an identity he can no longer inhabit, ensuring that the tragedy of Simon is never erased by the madness of the crown. The dreams do not free him, but they keep his essence alive. They bind him to the possibility that one day, even in fragments, Simon may return. This fragile hope is his fate, carried not in waking control, but in the quiet persistence of dreams. The fate-binding power of dreams also extends beyond individual characters. On a larger scale, it ties Oo itself into cycles of prophecy. The comet, for instance, is not only a cosmic symbol, but a destiny that returns again and again. To dream of the comet is to be bound to this cycle, to acknowledge that life in Oo is part of a rhythm far greater than any one person. Finn's dreams of the comet do not predict only his fate. They reveal the fate of worlds, the eternal return of beginnings and endings. This cosmic binding shows that destiny is not just personal, but universal. Yet even here, the dreamscape is not cruel. It does not mock or belittle. It simply reminds. Dreams bind because they reveal what already is, what already will be. They give the dreamer the chance to face destiny with awareness rather than blindness. In this sense, the fate-binding power of dreams is a gift. It is the universe's way of whispering, "Be ready." As viewers, we feel the tenderness of this message. Adventure Time does not present dreams as traps, but as gentle truths. They may frighten, they may unsettle, but they are never meaningless. They are part of the story's rhythm, binding characters not to despair but to understanding. To see a dream fulfilled is to see the universe's design unfold, not with cruelty, but with quiet inevitability. And so the fate-binding power of dreams is not about taking freedom away. It is about weaving freedom into the greater pattern. The dreamer still chooses, still feels, still loves, but always within the gentle lines drawn by destiny. This balance between inevitability and agency is what makes Adventure Time's dream lore so human, even in its most surreal moments. When we think of destiny in Adventure Time, it is tempting to imagine it as a heavy chain, dragging characters along paths that they can't resist. But the show offers us something gentler. Fate in Oo is more like a river. It carries dreamers forward, sometimes swiftly, sometimes slowly, always toward the sea. Dreams are the currents within that river, guiding, nudging, and shaping the flow. They do not take away the ability to swim. They remind the dreamer of where the waters are leading. Finn's dreams make this image especially clear. When he dreams of the grass sword, of farm world, or of the comet, each vision is a current pulling him toward a deeper truth. At first, he thrashes against it, trying to swim in another direction. But over time, he learns that resistance only brings exhaustion. To live well is not to escape the current, but to navigate it with courage. His fate is not a trap. It is a journey that becomes meaningful because of the way he responds to it. Jake, too, learns this lesson in his own way. Though he rarely receives the same prophetic intensity as Finn, his dreams still remind him of the inevitable. They show him the limits of his carefree attitude, nudging him to recognize that even he, with all his stretching and lounging, is part of the same river of destiny. His dreams bind him not through fear, but through perspective. They whisper to him that time will move forward and that every lazy afternoon, every simple joy, is precious because it cannot last forever. For Marceline, the fate-binding nature of dreams is more intimate. They tie her not to external prophecy, but to the rhythm of her own heart. Her recurring visions of Simon, of childhood moments, of long-forgotten places are reminders that the past is never gone. These dreams shape her present, binding her to the emotions she carries forward: loneliness, love, regret, resilience. Marceline's dreams are her fate because they ensure she cannot sever herself from what has made her who she is. They remind her that even immortality cannot erase memory. Princess Bubblegum's dream-born fate is equally subtle but profound. In her visions of collapse and ruin, she sees the fragility of the order she has built. These dreams bind her to vigilance, pushing her to maintain control even when it distances her from others. Her subconscious reminds her that her kingdom is never as stable as it seems, and this reminder shapes her waking choices. Dreams for Bubblegum are not prophecies of specific events. They are constant warnings, binding her to a life of responsibility, one where her fear of loss defines her leadership. The Ice King, meanwhile, lives under the heaviest binding of all. His dreams of Simon are not only echoes of the man he once was. They are fate's insistence that Simon cannot be erased. Even in madness, even in brokenness, the crown cannot fully sever his true self. This is his tragic destiny. To be bound forever to the memory of who he was, unable to return, unable to forget. Dreams tie him to Simon like a thread through the ice, a thread he cannot cut. His story reminds us that fate does not always free us, but it does preserve us, ensuring that truth endures even when it cannot be reclaimed. Beyond individual characters, the dreamscape itself binds the fate of U. The repeated visions of the comet remind us that this is a world shaped by cycles far larger than any one life. The comet falls, eras shift, and yet the dreamers always rise again to face what comes. By placing the comet in dreams, Adventure Time shows us that destiny is not only personal but cosmic. U itself is bound by dreams, tethered to cycles that stretch back into the deepest past and forward into infinite futures. The fate-binding power of dreams is also what gives Adventure Time its sense of inevitability. As viewers, we recognize that when a character dreams a certain image, when the cosmic owl appears, when a prophecy is shown, we are not watching a possibility, but a certainty. And yet the show never uses this certainty to strip away tension. Instead, it builds meaning. The power of prophecy lies not in whether it happens, but in how it happens. Just like Finn, we learn that fate's weight is not inescapable doom, but the quiet insistence that our choices matter within its flow. This is why the dreamscape never feels cruel, even when it reveals mortality. Even when it whispers of endings, it does so gently. The cosmic owl does not shout. The visions do not scream. They arrive like the hush of night, like a whisper across the heart. They do not demand obedience. They invite reflection. Fate in U is not punishment. It is a reminder to live with awareness, to face what comes with open eyes. And so the binding power of dreams becomes not a burden, but a gift. It offers characters foresight, memory, and perspective. It ensures they are never adrift, even in chaos. The dream may not tell them exactly what to do, but it tells them that their lives are woven into a greater pattern, that they are not alone in their struggles. This quiet assurance that every dream has meaning, that every vision is part of the whole, is what makes the dreamscape so central to the story of U. Dreams in Adventure Time remind us that fate is never distant. It lives close, just beneath the surface of sleep, waiting to show itself in the quiet hours. For Finn, Marceline, Jake, Bubblegum, and even the Ice King, dreams become the threads that tie their lives together. They are not interruptions in the story. They are the story, woven softly, revealed slowly, binding the past, present, and future into one seamless tapestry. What makes these dream prophecies so moving is the way they always carry both weight and kindness. The cosmic owl's wings may signal inevitability, but he never arrives in violence. He arrives in silence, a calm reminder that destiny is near. The comet may blaze across the sky, but it does so as part of a natural cycle, not as an act of cruelty. Even Marceline's haunting memories are framed not as punishments, but as echoes that keep her connected to the one she has loved. Dreams bind fate, not with chains, but with whispers. And yet, these whispers are powerful. They guide Finn into maturity, teaching him that courage is not about outrunning destiny, but about facing it with open hands. They shape Jake's gratitude, reminding him to stretch and rest and live while he can. They anchor Marceline to her story, ensuring she never loses the thread of who she has been. They press Bubblegum into vigilance, a ruler bound to protect even when it costs her closeness. and they tether the Ice King to Simon, a fragile truth that survives even under the heaviest curse. On a larger scale, the dreams of U show us that all stories are bound by cycles. The comet returns, timelines branch, and realities brush against one another in sleep. Nothing is isolated. Everything is connected, threaded together through visions that appear soft but carry the weight of universes. The dreamscape is both personal and cosmic, intimate and infinite. It belongs to each character, and yet it belongs to the whole of existence. For us, watching and listening, this lore carries a quiet invitation. Our own dreams may not show us comets or cosmic owls, but they too bind us in subtle ways. A dream of someone we miss may shape our choices the next day. A dream of falling may remind us of our fears. A dream of light may encourage us to hope. Just like in U, our dreams whisper truths we do not always understand, but which still carry us forward into what comes. The fate-binding power of dreams is not about loss of control. It is about awareness. It teaches us that life has patterns, that endings and beginnings are part of the same cycle, that our choices matter within the flow of time. Dreams do not strip away freedom. They show us where freedom lives, within the larger design that carries us all. And so, as we close this exploration of the hidden lore of dreams in Adventure Time, we carry with us the gentle truth that destiny is not loud. It does not roar or demand. It whispers in sleep, in symbols, in visions that come quietly when the world is dark. To listen to dreams is to listen to fate, and to walk into tomorrow with eyes a little more open. The dreamscape of U will always be a place of symbols, portals, and prophecy. But at its heart, it will remain what dreams have always been, a lantern glowing softly in the night, reminding us that we are never truly lost, that we are always guided, and that every vision, no matter how strange, carries meaning. Good night.